It is now 6:30 p.m., Thursday, June 6th, and I am now calling the Town of Newfane regular meeting of the Select Board to order. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes from May 16th. And do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the minutes for May 16th.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. And let me just also mention for the record that Todd Lawley is not present. All other members of the Select Board are present at this meeting. So there is a motion. Is there discussion of the minutes of May 16th?
Yes, I have made just a couple of corrections on the May 16th since you had the draft, and you have the corrected copies. On page 2, I corrected one word under town improvements.
Okay.
And it was the very last sentence. Instead of committee in, I said committee for.
Okay. Yep.
And on page 3, under old business, park and ride, I omitted grant paving. I took out grant, so it says the paving bids. And under grubbings,
Okay.
I changed that to say,
Well, we have in front of us the corrective.
that's
Right,
correct. It
right.
And
says,
that's really what.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. So the rest of them were just minor changes.
That's fine. I don't think you need to enumerate
Okay.
all of them. As long as we have in front of us the corrected minutes, I think
Okay.
that's sufficient. Are there any further corrections or changes to these, any changes to these minutes we have before us? Hearing none, I'm going to proceed to the vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes as written and in front of us now, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously of those present. The next is the minutes of the special meeting on May 23rd. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Seconded.
Been moved and seconded. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of May 23rd? Hearing none, I'll proceed to the vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously of those present. The next order of business is the road foreman, road commissioners report. Since Todd is not here, I will quickly pass through the main items, although the members of the board have it in front of us. And I don't know if the public has, basically saying the roads are graded and in decent shape. They're still continuing to grade, however, and hauling gravel. They have been cleaning bridges, and the Newbrook Fire Department has been washing the bridges, and they have 3 more to go.
Are you on June 6th?
What?
Looking at the June 6th.
Am I looking at the wrong? I'm looking at prior minutes. I'm sorry. I'm looking at, we've already done those. Jeez, we're past that. I thought, all right. Okay, the roads are still in good shape. The culvert, okay. And the crew's still out with the loader and the grader, and they did some ditch work on Jack Hill, shoulder work being done. They've had some equipment problems, but nothing serious, it appears. They have ordered the new 2014 4x4 Mack, which was voted for, that we get the loan for it in the town meeting, and so that has now been ordered. They replanked River Road Bridge, and this bridge is now number 1 for repairs in the 2014-15 budget. So we will get an estimate. We, of course, have to pay a portion of that cost, but it would be very desirable to get that one fixed up.
So that's gone above Archbridge.
That apparently has now considered, it's a much small, I think it's a different category, because this is something that that Wyndham County can take on, as opposed to the Arch Bridge is a
Okay.
much larger project. In terms of Arch Bridge, I know Todd has been lobbying Matt Mann and Wyndham Regional to try to pump up the visibility of the problems with this bridge and how serious and crucial it is that we get it going before it collapses and have no way to get from point A to point B. So he has written to Matt Mann of Wyndham Regional, and Matt has replied that he sees the point and will be attempting to communicate that to the state. Could I have a motion to approve the road foreman's road commissioner's report?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those, go
This may
ahead.
not be
Okay.
exactly here, but what happens, for example, in the village when they clean out the culverts and then there's this big pile at the end of the common? Is there any part of that being taken away? Because it certainly doesn't enhance the beauty of the village.
Yeah, see, I don't, unfortunately, I think, Claire, maybe you have to hold it till we have Todd to answer, because I don't know a thing about how they do their business
I
on
mean,
there.
I understand that when they do it up near my place, they'll just dump it on the landowner's property, but here in the village, it's a bit unsightly.
Okay, so you might
Okay.
bring that up at a future time. Any further discussion on the road foreman, road commissioner's report? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the report as read, or not as read, but as written?
Aye.
Passes unanimously of members present. The next item on the agenda is the scheduled members of the public. And the first of the scheduled members of the public are Tom Martin and Kelly Krigo about the 320 Newfane Hill Road driveway change. Are you present, and would you like to explain to us what the concern is?
Tom, do you have a paper map?
Yeah, I could.
Come on up.
Just to visualize the property and what we're proposing to do, considering doing. So up the right-hand side of the map is Otis Lane, which comes off Newfane Hill Road, and the property that I have contract to purchase is bounded in white. It's currently owned by Bud and Rosie Keller. And the access to that parcel actually comes in off of sort of very, very top of Newfane Hill Road. And it goes across property owned by Darren Bliss. I don't believe that the access is deeded. I think it's just been there forever. So for that and aesthetic reasons, perhaps, we're considering, if we complete the purchase, of putting in a driveway. And our thought was to put it in off of Otis Lane, and it goes sort of due west from Otis Lane, where
Is that the yellow?
that sort of faint yellow
Tried to
smudge that I
highlight
tried to
yellow.
draw.
Okay.
So when Kelly called the town clerk's office, they suggested we fill out the application, and because I don't own the property yet, I didn't necessarily want to do that, but I did want to get perhaps a sense of the board and from Todd whether that seemed like that was a reasonable place to put in the driveway. I did stake the intersection at Otis Lane. I think Todd may have gone out and looked at it. I did speak with him, but he's obviously not here.
Yeah, so I can't,
Same thing, so I don't know
But
what your pleasure may
I'm
be.
unclear about, and Merle, maybe you can help me on this. I mean, is it that it comes to the board as opposed to the zoning administrator to make a change like that?
That's an access permit.
I see. So it's an access permit, so it comes to us. Okay, I'm just curious about who's responsible.
And usually Todd will look at it. Todd and Chris Williams are road commissioner. So you've got it flagged.
Yep, I've got stakes where, on the
Stakes
other
and
side where
flags.
we propose to put it in.
So usually he will do that.
Yeah.
And then just, if it's very clear you're not going to have somebody coming around the bend,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
pretty obvious you're not.
It seems like a no-brainer
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it is
that's
just a matter of on your own property. I can't, I would want to hear what Todd has to say, whether he has any input on it. Looking at it on paper, I don't hear anything from any of the members.
Well, he did email. It
Oh,
just
okay.
said that he told the people who are applying for this that they would need an access permit, and he
Right.
did look at it the other day, and he said it looks fine to me.
Oh,
So
all right.
that's,
So I think you can feel pretty confident that the board is not going to give you a hard time about getting an access
Great,
permit.
that's exactly what I was hoping
And
to get.
what would there be a culvert involved? I think
Um,
that's another,
Well, I think that was part of what I was hoping
Yeah.
Todd might.
yeah, so
I
I
mean, I
guess,
don't think there needs to be when it's literally at the top of a rise, so there's no drainage coming onto the driveway. It would all drain away from the driveway, so I really don't think it's necessary. And if there were
Okay.
one, it'd be very small.
Mike, was there something you wanted to say?
So I said he put that in the permit anyway, tell them if they need a culvert or not.
Yeah, for sure, that's right.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Thank you
and
very
I
much.
have access permits whenever you want to come in.
I think we have the form.
You
Yeah.
do have it, okay.
Yeah, so-
Good. Okay. Well,
Thank you.
thanks for coming in. And are you new to our town, or are you just?
I moved in with my partner Kelly in October
And I live at 11
on Otis Lane,
so
so it's almost next door.
moving up the hill.
Were you already here?
I live here, yeah, I've lived here for 12 years, yeah.
But he's new.
He's
Yeah.
new.
Well, thanks for bringing some
Yeah.
new blood
I know,
into the
yeah, it's really
community.
worth having in town.
And I love being here. So,
Great, great.
Thanks.
Well, welcome.
and what committee would you like to see?
They'll have to pay for
Maybe the driveway access committee.
Okay, great.
Oh, that-
Thank you very much.
Did you hear him say that? He wants to be on the driveway access committee,
Yeah,
which means
right.
he becomes a select.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm willing to, right now, you got it. Okay. The next is the Newfane Hill Common Committee, and Ed Drew, do you want to address us? What would you like to present, or what's your
Well,
concern?
number one is you remember that I was here earlier and we were gonna try to get a meeting together with you. When I wasn't successful in getting that, and in fact, I have my own problems and I cannot be chairman anymore. Couldn't for the last 2 years, or I didn't really have the time to do it. My wife is in somewhat ill health, so it's gonna be worse, not better. And so I was hoping that somebody would, but almost, Kelly's here, she's what I thought was gonna be our next chairman, but the whole committee just about does not want to partake in it. But there are other people up there that do. And I got a list of them, and I'll name them out. Margaret Stearns, Laura Bacon.
Well, let's actually, we'll get the actual, want to slow you down, that's all.
Okay.
So, Margaret,
Stearns.
Stearns, Laura Bacon.
uh-huh,
By the way, these are mostly history people.
uh-huh,
That's what we
Uh-huh.
need on the committee,
okay,
more than we need work. Carolyn Cole, you got Laura Bacon?
yes,
Carolyn Coleman, Dan Brooks, Sylvia Kinney, and there's a new gal, I just talked to her tonight, and that's Kim Colligan.
oh, Kim, okay.
And there are others, but I don't have any.
But those are some you do. Now, is there anyone, who is on the committee currently? Yourself and Kelly and?
And me, Bud Keller. Now, Carlene Pelsu was on the committee, but I was under the understanding that she had resigned from the committee, but she was a member. Dave and Scott. That's it.
And Alicia Field, is she on?
Dave,
Dave
I-
King.
Dave King
And
and Scott Heller.
Scott Keller.
Tom Russell?
Tom Russell. Oh, Tom Russell, yes. And I talked to Tom, and he
And
has no interest.
now, so are you saying that none of the current members really want to continue, or?
With the committee, yeah.
Except you're running.
Well, I'm on the committee, but there's no way in the next year and a half I'm going to be able to do anything with it. So, I mean, I might as well just resign from the committee if that's.
So you're saying basically we need to kind of check with these regroup. So what I would like to do is ask Pat to get from Ed the names of people that you know, and from Kelly and if you have their phone numbers, obviously that's great. If you don't, we'll find them and contact them and ask if they'd be interested in kind of forming a new Newfane Hill committee and emphasize that the point of the committee is mostly to meet occasionally and to consider the history of
There's
Newfane.
things undone, and I'll
Okay.
mention to you. Number one is the sign.
Uh-huh.
People come around there now, and we don't have a sign there saying, where the markers,
Uh-huh.
where the original houses
Uh-huh.
were. And Margaret had already designed a new sign up there, and she hasn't gone any further, but she still wants to, along with Laura Bacon and Carolyn Coleman,
Okay.
those three. And Dan Brooks is very much interested
Okay.
in that, so we got those. And the second item is making new trails after the logging was done, clear up the mess where between the, make a trail out from the main marker out to the jail, and then to that, what's the name of the woman?
The grave.
The grave of the first child born in Newfane. So, I
I
forgot.
walk past it every day and think I
Yeah.
forgot the name, but there's a grave site out there that needs to be
Uh-huh.
marked.
Okay.
Okay,
Well-
I feel better than I.
Yeah.
And just to emphasize how interesting, interested people are, we had a couple in today they had gone to the museum yesterday and done research and then said, come over here because they couldn't get copies of things. And in fact, they're from Quebec, and they're in a town that's Milton, Quebec, and she does tours, and she was really gathering all this interesting information about the grandfather of the founder there. And she asked me, isn't there a map or something we couldn't find? So I called Ed, who said, well, I'm going to be on, and we were able to give them one of these.
Okay.
And they were just fascinated by the history, so.
Great.
It's a real resource for the town.
Yeah.
And I really hope that we can move forward with at least identifying and mapping out so that people can know. I've lived there for 12 years and I still don't know what some of those markers
That
mean
would be great.
since the sign fell down
All right.
back in 2008. So.
Probably some of the signs are on private property. There's a few of them. that
Well,
are private property.
let's. We don't have to. Yeah. What we need to do is to get some group of people to kind of
Yeah.
begin to figure it out. So.
But the trail, these were the projects we were
Okay.
still
Thank
leaving
you.
off, so.
Thank you.
The-
So we should convey
trail
that
is-
to
I'm
whoever.
not finished yet.
Okay.
The trail goes from that grave site, then up along what will be their property, and then along what I think it's
The north side and
the north
back out.
border, and back to the road,
Okay.
back to Newfane Hill Road. And then the other thing is, around the main marker is kind of uneven ground. There needs to be some work there. Every time we did any lawn work there, we got, from the town crew, some remainder, sort of loam. It's pretty good
Mhm.
soil down at the town garage when they did the construction. I don't know if they have any left or not, but that would be a source, and that would be the project, just to smooth that area over and seed it down, and then basically that's the only labor part, but the rest is history.
Great.
By that I mean doing
Oh,
things,
my
the
goodness.
history of it.
Good. Well, thank you. That's very helpful.
So
So.
the kids all went up there the other day with the school.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you've got the deed now, and the deed says that you continue it as a common. That's a requirement of the fulfillment of the deed.
I see.
And there's another item which I announced years ago, and that was, I'm a trustee of a fund, and I don't know of any use that I have of it, and I'd like to get rid of it, and I wanted to give it to the town, but because of the type of trust, it's probably gonna be a requirement that there has to be some maintenance of the place under the selectmen.
What is it?
Just like the logging was done by the selectmen, not by the committee, but at least have some requirement.
All right, so how do you want to proceed with that? I'm not.
Well, only see how we come out.
Okay.
with that.
So you'll come back to us when you kind of see the
I
details.
also originally got a $100 donation, which in the record, you'll have all these papers. And that was from a schoolmate of mine when we had the Wheels of School. and he gave me $100, a check to me, and it was for anything. So I hope it's still in the town fund. It's supposed to be under, for the Newfane Hill Common.
Oh, it may well be.
That was a phone call, but he followed it up with a note with the check.
Okay.
So,
Hopefully it's still sitting there. Great. Okay, so you'll come back to us though when you know the details of what you're looking for, what's involved here.
yeah, sort of continue on the way it was if you possibly can get another committee. That's really what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like you have a lot of good people interested.
But I'm a little unclear, Ed. Are you saying that in terms of the trustee thing that you just were talking, are you saying that's something the committee should really be handling?
No,
Or is it it's separate
that-
entirely?
Yeah, I'll have to investigate, but
Okay,
that would be turned over to the town,
To
just
the
like
s-
that other
okay.
check was.
right, gotcha.
The check was written to me and in that $100 and said, do what you want. But my intention was that if the town got it, the town did get it.
Okay. So you'll come back to the
Yeah.
select board.
And
is
that
what
would
I'm-
be the same.
Okay.
That's all.
Great, thank you. Okay, there are no other scheduled members of the public. The next are unscheduled members of the public. And I believe this is going to come back to you, Ed. Planning Commission for the appointment of the recommendation to appoint Patricia, what's her last name? Gleason?
Wise.
Yeah, we unanimously recommended.
Okay, can I, what is her name? Do we have
Her
to?
name is Patricia Hunter Weisbrick, and the last name is Weisbrich.
Okay, so could I have a motion to appoint her to the Planning Commission?
So moved.
Moved in second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously of members present. Okay, so Patricia Pat, could you then send her the form to take on the appointment form that we send and have her
Yes.
send it back? Okay, great. Are there any other unscheduled members of the public who wish to speak?
I can either hear or under old business or under unfinished business.
Is it about the town?
Town improvement or town repair.
It's fine. Go ahead now.
Okay, on, this is for Gloria. On Wednesday, the engineer Phil Savoy and Mike are going to come and crawl around under the building to determine what really needs to be done, how it has to be done, and all of that. And then we want to inspect the upstairs to see what has to be done there. And that should take place on Wednesday. The other question of the day is whether it's possible for us to continue the project on an emergency basis. It would speed the process tremendously and simplify things.
To do what?
To work it on an emergency basis.
To work what on them?
The repair under the floor, the substructure repair.
Well, the bottom line, honestly, Gunther, is if it's an emergency, meaning there is danger that's to life and limb and people working in the building, then it is an emergency and it can continue on that basis. If it's not an emergency, then it really should be a planned change.
Well,
It's really, truth is kind of critical here.
yeah, I mean, as far as the emergency, the floor has been shored up,
Okay,
so it's not going to fall down.
So then if it's not going to fall down, then it really should just be done in an orderly fashion, which means that if it's under $2,000, it doesn't need to be bid. If it's
Right.
over 2,000, then
It will be over.
then you need bids. And they need to come to us once you formulate what it is.
Right.
We put out the RFP or the advertisement, and we open the
Okay.
bids. We do
All right.
have to follow
It's just-
procedure.
It was merely for information.
Understood. Thank you for the work you guys are doing. And I'm sorry I didn't say this earlier. I want to thank the Planning Commission for its work on the town plan. I'm delighted that we're able to move forward, and those of you coming in now, we did have our hearing and the select board did approve the town plan as presented, so that's going forward. But having said that, I also very much appreciate of all the work that you guys are doing on the town office committee. It's great. Okay. Any other unscheduled members of the public? Moving forward, our next order of business is the contract approval on Hunter Brook Bridge. Peter, do you want to talk to us a little bit about the bid process, et cetera, any part of it that you wish to?
Okay, I have in my hands here 3 copies of a contract, which is partially executed by the contractor for the work there.
This is Cold River,
This
is
is
it?
Cold River, they're a little bidder, and they checked their bid, and they have provided us with what they need to for the contract, the bonds and insurance, and that type of thing, and that's incorporated in the contract documents here. So if it pleases the selectmen, you guys can sign this evening, and they can be off and running. We've got a couple other things I want to talk to you about in regard to that. But
You have the contracts ready
I have
for
the
us,
contracts
and
ready.
you've looked them over, and you're confident they cover the bases they
Yes.
should cover.
yes,
Okay. I think what would be in order would be a motion to approve that contract as recommended by SBE.
I make a motion that we sign the contracts given to Cold River Bridges that are here by SBE tonight.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Do you know, Peter, if there's any part in that contract that talks about the repair of the property that we had the temporary bridge on? Because that, part of that agreement was to make sure that that was seeded, and that's part of that.
the actual area of the temporary bridge, no, I think that's a separate contract that you're going to have to remove that. This contract covers the area between the new bridge and the temporary bridge though, which is an area that we're also going to clear so that they have operating room in there. But that, so it does cover that, but the actual area of the temporary bridge, it does not.
That's a separate. Chris, do you want to explain
Yeah.
to us where we stand with the removal of the temporary? Is there anything back yet on
I think
from FEMA?
yeah, refresh. It is Cold River. Cold River is on that. So what's happening is Cold River will be doing the permanent bridge, and the answer strictly to your question is the area where the new bridge, where it was originally and will now be new, that area of restoration along the land will be done in this contract. When that contractor goes over for the removal of the maybe bridge and gets it out of there, then they will restore the bank on that one. So that'll come at the very last.
But what I'm asking, so we have not bid out yet the removal of the temporary. Is that not true? This does not
We are
cover
not
the
going
removal.
to bid it because FEMA actually imparted that since Cold River put maybe in, we'll just go ahead on the continuance of that and remove it out. The same contractor still
Oh,
has
okay,
the leg
okay.
that put it in, so there's no bid for it.
Okay.
They did put in a price bid.
Yes,
As
and it's
requested,
to
but
FEMA
only-
directly, correct.
Okay. So that, but it's basically all I'm really
Yeah.
asking. It's taken care of.
Yeah.
What's going to happen there?
Yes.
And just to Gloria's point, obviously, what should also happen is the cleanup of the.
And do we know how much that's costing the town?
Which part?
The removal of the bridge?
what's the same as any FEMA project. That is, it should, in the end, cost us, it shouldn't, in truth, it shouldn't cost us anything, because we're already above the max of our 10% share. So in theory,
Right.
I say that only in theory, because anything dealing with these things is only theory until proven real.
I mean, were you asking what's the cost of that portion of the contract?
Well, when
or-
she said they put in a separate
Right, so.
price,
Right.
is that anything that the town is?
It's part of the temporary bridge PW for that one leg, all together.
Yeah, good. Good. All right, thank you very much, Peter. We've, no, we still, wait, we have a
Yes.
motion on the table. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I think you said aye. Yeah. So that motion passes unanimously of members present. Okay, so we will sign that tonight. Do you need it signed now so you can get out of here, or do you, or can you wait till we do pay orders? I don't want to hold you up. Are you going to take it with you?
Yeah.
I was gonna take it with me.
Let's sign it.
We have some other things we discussed while you guys
Okay.
sign it if you want. It needs to be signed here and
Does it need a seal, or what town of Newfane by? Like myself?
yeah, I think you would sign it as a chair.
I love signing something of this bulk. Chair. Okay.
And attest by,
I can,
Let
Okay,
Lori do
Lori
that
can
for
do
it.
and the contact person, whoever that is.
That should be you, if you don't mind.
Me?
Yes, you.
Gloria, do your
I
deal.
can.
And that's here. I will sign.
Do,
I have a Newfane.
That's what we're looking for.
or do you want me to?
Say it again?
Do you, what I'm asking is, do you want Pat's name in there as the administrative assistant?
That's up to you. Yeah, maybe that's best.
I think it makes more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
this is
fine with that.
continuity in case I get
It's
hit
not
by a
even a
bus or.
signature, actually, so it's Pat
I'll put it in.
Grace,
Maybe owns it.
administrative assistant.
And that's the address here.
Yes.
We can fill that out. It's the same address as
Okay.
above. You guys need to take your time to do that.
You got it.
And bring
Thank
that
you.
bridge back.
We'll just put administrative assistant, okay?
Yeah, I put it into the select board, but it doesn't really matter.
The reason I like it this way is because it's continuity. If
Yeah.
there's a change there or anything.
They just said we want them doing it.
Okay. Grace.
How do you expect me to get a seal on the inside of the
Well, I think maybe you can
Just do it at the
do
bottom?
it from the, yeah, you can do it at the bottom if you can get it
And then
there.
I can-
Or go from the top one.
Close enough. At least you sealed it.
I'm gonna seal my notary and get passwords of seals.
Funny, we didn't do this on one of the earlier ones. Should have.
Yeah, seals come
Okay.
Okay, so here's a
Good.
motion to do that.
back.
Signed, sealed, and delivered.
Okay, and while we're finishing that up.
No, he's gonna finish that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so see what was two. One copy's for you, one's for the contractor, and one's for our office.
Okay, so we get to keep one, Pat?
Two things with this. One is, have we got the permit from A&R yet? Officially in our hands. I mean, we got verbal, so to speak, but.
So here's the plan. We've done phone calling, the multiple emails, so now it's time to go back and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tap Mary.
Okay.
And I'm also gonna try to get through to the V-Trans arm of it, similar to how we ran the meeting.
Okay. Because I called twice.
Might have met, if I get really aggressive, maybe by tomorrow afternoon.
And the other thing is we need to have a pre-construction conference with the contractor and members of the town that need to be there.
Okay.
And the contractor would like to do that either 12th or 13th at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, if that's okay.
And that would
That would
probably be
work.
you and Todd if he's available for it. If he can't, you could ask me,
Okay. That would work for me.
Okay.
Do you have a
I don't have a
preference?
preference, whatever is good for you.
Either one. Doesn't make any difference.
All right, let's say the 12th unless there's a...
Earlier, okay, 3 o'clock,
Mhm.
Okay.
and we'll meet at the bridge.
Yeah, well, let's do that unless the weather is inclement.
Okay.
The temporary.
Okay. That concludes that item of business. The next item of business is the HMGP McDonough property. I believe that's you, Chris?
Yes, we're investigating, actually we're past investigating. We are ready, if it is the board's approval, to process an HMGP grant for that mobile home, which is known as 246 Dover Road. I've talked fairly extensively to Bob Ennis and the HMGP round
Thank you,
table, I
Peter.
guess. This round of grants, the way it's going, it's really a 75%. But the way they're trying to work it is that the 25% that normally would have come like it did the first round with the CDBG portion being 25, they're trying to work it so that the town would not be on the hook for anything on this. But I raised this question before even attempting the application, that it is always possible that this doesn't work out. That if we're into this grant and the money is awarded, and we can't talk, or they don't have the funds for the resources for the 25%, that we might be on the hook for that. So
I don't understand. I don't really feel I understand this situation very well at all.
okay, the awards of money that are coming down through, so from the federal government through the state.
This is just so I'm clear. This is not one of the 3 properties we've already processed. This is new.
Right.
And this is 246. And which is 246 again?
The trailer.
It is the trailer.
Yes.
Okay.
And just kind of background on that was that we attempted at the very beginning to have that
Okay.
property put in,
Uh-huh.
and they just rejected it.
They
at the
rejected
end.
it at the time.
So that was the initial.
Okay. So this is a new round, and we're trying to put it
And
through.
then it's the
But-
last round.
Right, it's
Yeah.
the last round, so the funds and the coordination of how the grants were set up early on in rounds 1, 2, and 3 were slightly different than they are now.
Okay.
So really the HMGP is kind of shifting all over into the CDBG portion. They do know that there's more money coming through. It's just that at the upper level, those funds haven't been completely set up. I feel pretty comfortable with it, but as I say, I just need to lay the caution out there that if you're looking at a mobile home, so we're not talking a huge
How
amount.
much are we talking? Do we have a rough idea of the cost?
I guess if I was to make a stab at it, which I did, I said, at worst we'd come out possibly at a high end, maybe 12,000 total.
Total.
Yeah, for the town
Oh, for
share.
the
If
town
we
share.
max this whole thing out, I mean, we'd be really pushing it.
Because the land itself is not worth anything particularly? I mean, in other words, there's land, right? There's
No, I'm
land that-
talking about what the town might end up taxpayer-wise being
I understand.
obligated to pay
But you're
for the percentage that I would be concerned about, that
So-
25%.
So you're saying the total value is around 48,000? If you're saying 25% is 12,000?
Right. That's pretty much where I'm kind of getting the feel of what it is. Yeah.
And there would have to be, an appraisal done of it, and
Well,
Right.
there's costs associated with it, including clearing. Don't we have to clear the property?
The attorney costs, the appraisal costs, the demolition costs
Right.
are inherent in the whole picture.
They're part of that approximately say $50,000 figure.
Yeah.
You're guessing. I mean, you're estimating.
Yeah.
Now, what is the deadline for our making the application?
July 15th.
So we don't have a lot of time to really consider.
Mm-mm.
And it's a letter of intent has to be in, right? Is that the July 15th is the letter of intent, or is that the actual
No, the application needs to be in and on board prior to July 15th. Having now been so many conversations with it, I feel pretty comfortable that the town is not going to end up on the hook. If the grant is accepted for that property, that's the key. We don't know.
But if they're not accepted, then we don't do anything.
It's not accepted. We go nowhere, you know.
Okay.
Because there is money out there.
I
There is
understand.
in Windham County. There's 3 counties in the state that I know that money is coming to, and Windham County is one of them. So.
And this should be, and this is all part of the thing that a long time ago the governor said the state's going to make sure that 25% gets covered.
And it was that they got 90% right, and then Shumlin put in the 10%. It wasn't a 75,
Right.
so that's changed.
Okay, so is there I need a motion of some sort on this that essentially that we proceed with making the application.
So moved.
It's been moved that we proceed. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is there further discussion?
So if we go all the way and we find out, let's say that we as a town are responsible for, let's say, $12,000, and there's no way of getting that covered, we could just back out of it, right? I mean,
What they're telling me specifically is there's 2 mechanisms that they see where we won't get tapped. One is that there will be additional funding curves, so to speak, laid out. The secondary thing is that no, it can be worked so that if the property owner who's not living there, isn't selling it or whatever, if an offer is made, our percentage of that can be taken as part of the total 75%. In other words, they would get less. The property owner would get less, but the town itself wouldn't, so that the town wouldn't absorb it. Exactly. So we do have a mechanism, and that's another reason I feel
to
comfortable.
reduce our vulnerability.
Correct.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, there's a motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously of those present. And we move on to the opening of paving bids.
And you're still working with Elizabeth on this, right? With Elizabeth McCune? Because she has gotten...
Could I ask that we not, 2 things of the board. One is that even board members should please ask to be recognized, not just speak, and that we not have side discussions while we're doing it because we could get confused. I could get confused. Okay, I'm now opening the paving bids. There's a fairly complicated situation here because these are paving bids covering 3 different locations. 3, is that right? The 3
That's
that are here? South Wardsboro Road, Wiswall Hill Road, and our town office parking lot.
Do you want help in the opening?
No, just going to because I can't open and read at the same time in any case. And I'm just going to read them now. We're not actually I don't think we will actually be picking a bid at this point as much as I will be reading for the record what we have received. So the first bid that I have received is from Springfield Paving. And Springfield Paving price per ton is $73.38 is their bid. This is for the South Wardsboro Road. The same per ton amount, the total amount they're asking is $188,953.50. On the Wiswall Hill Road, same per ton, 73.38. Total amount 14,676. The Newfane parking, our town office parking lot here, they are saying $92 per ton. And also asking the town to prepare the surface for pavement installation, and that's a total of $19,780. And they do include their certificate of liability with their bids. There also are a couple details which I'm not reading aloud, but there are a couple small details listed on the along with the bids. The second bid that I am opening is from Basin Brothers. And here I have a separate envelope on each bid. And for that bid, this is for the town office parking lot. And this just includes the specs, detailed bid specifications, and the actual bid. They are asking $95 per ton, but the total amount they're saying is $17,094.50. That's for the parking lot here. And unfortunately, I can't open them in a more sensible order since I don't really know what's inside of them. And the next one, also from Basin. You know what, Gloria? I think I am going to accept your offer to open these in advance because it's just slowing us up. I need to open them. And then this is for the South Wordsboro Road. They're coming in at $73.54 per ton, a total of $189,880.28. And I must just, as a parenthetical remark, think these numbers sound more than what I thought we were going to be spending for this, so we may have to do some reconsideration of what we're going to do. You know, this is a lot of money. For Wiswall Hill, also at $73.54 per ton, total of $15,737.56. And do we have these? Yeah, I knew I would get confused and we're already in. Do I have the third basin open?
You've done it.
Have I done all three of basin? Is that what happened? Okay, thank you.
This is Lane.
Okay, and what is this also basin?
No,
This is something else?
Yeah, that's,
I think that may have been the one I already read.
it has it on the bottom, John.
Oh, it is basin,
Yeah,
but I don't recall reading this aloud.
for which,
No, it's a 73. This is the parking lot. So yes, I just put it back in its envelope.
which is
okay.
right in front of
Right in
you.
front of you.
Okay. Well, I don't want them necessarily, but just want to get them off me. Not in front of me, or else I'll reread. Sorry, I apologize for my ineptness in attempting to. I see. These are all three basins. Okay, so we got all the basins here. We have their envelopes, and we have this one. Okay, now comes the next set.
Now here's Lane,
Okay, this is next set of bids are from Lane
and
Construction.
on the bottom here it tells you for which project.
All right, well, I'm going to not look at its envelope in this case because I'll just
Okay,
turn
here's
right
the-
to
here's
it.
the third.
Okay, that's the third. So now we have the three from Lane. And for Lane, they are saying for the parking lot, they want $90 per ton, which includes fine grading, and that's $18,900 for the town parking lot. The second one I have from them is there's the certificate. And the second one is for Wiswall Hill, where they're also asking $90 per ton, and that's $12,960. And the third one that's from Lane is for South Wardsboro Road, and that is at $71.50, but its grand total is $210,500. Sort of odd seeing lower numbers on the per ton and higher numbers on the total, but it's all, this is something that Todd is going to
Yeah, we gotta
sort
check the
through.
specs on that.
Okay, and then the last set,
Is Warner Brothers?
and these are from Warner Brothers. They're going to make a movie of the whole paving operation.
Of Warner.
Okay, thank you. And they also gave us their liability insurance copy. They're asking for the town office parking lot $54,570. Oh, at 85, at lower per ton.
54.
54. I believe 570. 54,570 at 85 per ton. So the ton per ton is less, but the total's a lot more. It's mystifying.
I could elaborate.
Well, let me just, we'll get to that in a second. I would appreciate the elaboration. The second is for, I'm just trying to find it. This seems to be more, this is just liability. Okay. And then this is the Wiswall Hill project, also still Warner. And this is 85 per square ton and $18,190. And the last should be the South Wardsboro Road, also Warner. And this one is, this is always liability, so it's here. And that's $88 per square ton for $245,976. Okay, now we've entered these, and we do have representatives of at least one, maybe several, of the companies who have bids in, who might wish to elaborate or give us further detail on these yours, or I don't know, or Pat's, okay, on those bids. And so if you'd like to, anyone like to
Yeah.
enlighten us?
Ciano, Lane Construction Corporation, top two folks.
Yep.
The question of why there's a lower price per ton and then a higher total
Mm-hmm.
price for the
Does
whole
this you
project
did all of
is,
them, Dan? Good for you.
is the fact that there are no defined quantities. So the interpretation of each contractor when they visit Todd and go over the project could be different from when, say, Lane or Sprinkler Paving goes over the same project. They might get a different interpretation. So the best interest of the town, if it would serve the town best, is if they, when the RFP, if they actually stated a quantity to bid on, then you would have apples to apples.
I see what you're saying.
Okay, so,
I agree with that.
all right, so
Okay.
that's all I have to say.
Is there any other person, is there any further, comment from any contractors or people who place bids? Okay, then what I would like to do is to entertain a motion to have Todd review the bids and report back to the select board on what he views from the bids or something to that effect.
I'll make that motion.
Seconded.
All right, that's been moved and seconded. Now discussion.
I guess, how did the contractors come up with their quantities then? If it wasn't given, was it just a discussion with Todd when you went around, or?
Yes.
The bid package went out per Todd's description, how he wanted the road paved, how thick, and the mileage. And that's what it was based on.
Yeah, and I'm seeing here, things like shim the road with 1 inch in depth. So there is some detail, right? But apparently there's a fair room for interpretation, and I don't quite understand.
Todd requested 1 inch shim and 1 inch overlay over the whole surface of South Royceboro Road.
Okay, so now wouldn't that be sufficient to, how does it end up being such? If you could explain it to me or
I'm
anybody.
Fred from Lane Construction also.
Uh-huh.
And different people figure their mix differently. There wasn't a, you know, if somebody went out and mileaged the area that Todd pointed out,
Right.
or if somebody went out with a roller and they, you know, measured it out, it's gonna be different. Maybe off a few hundred, maybe off a couple hundred ton, could be off 50 ton.
Okay.
But the only true measurement in awarding this bid is price per ton. That way, if you put out 1 ton or you put out 20,000 tons, it's all, everybody's apples to apples.
I guess that's true to a certain, you know, I understand that, and you know the mess we went into, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, last year, I guess, with this. The only problem is, you know, it would then mean if you laid more, you know, you could end up building up the cost. So I don't know quite how to think about it, but sir?
Yeah, I'm Dave Thurber, Springfield Paving. I actually measured the road out and I calculated what tonnage it would take and based it on my price per ton. I'm a little less because I estimated less tonnage and that's what we'll go with. And that will cover the road at the proper depths. So you should take that into consideration too, along with the price per ton. Because what you said is right, you can just lay as many tons out as you want, and it's like spreading topsoil. If you got a yard, you can make it cover a lot of territory, you can make it cover just a few feet, you know.
All right.
That'll help
Well,
if you spread it.
okay. Other comments from anyone? Yes,
I got a question on the parking lot.
yes.
Number one, why is the tonnage more? Is it more labor intensive? The other thing is,
It's more per ton, as it were, is what
right,
you mean.
so it means maybe more labor intensive. The other question is, it's in the floodplain, so I understand it. How does that work with paving a floodplain area rather than graveling it? And where are the environmentalists going to be once this starts?
You can't, you will have to look at permit status for that with grant money. We'd have to get the approval first.
Or you can't just start and pave it?
We could, but I think it could be a problem.
That would be a bad, it might be a bad idea if we're hoping to get
That's
the
what
money.
I'm thinking.
Yes, that's a good
There's a
point.
little more to just this little paving operation than we originally thought.
Yeah, and
That's why it's separated out in all of our bids.
And I have to say to all the bidders, all the pricing is way above what we presented to the town as how much we'd be spending on paving this year. So some of it we may be covered because we put in a certain amount of money from the town. We will also get grants from the state, so we may be able to, it's maybe what we're laying out how much we could cover. Todd may have been considering the combination of what we put in the budget plus what grant we expect from the state. But it's going to take us a little while to work all this out, though we would like to move quickly. It's going to take a little time.
Now, one other thing, when Lane messed up the last time, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and we let him off the hook.
Has to be at least, can't be more than 2 because I was on the board
Okay,
at the time.
so we let him off the hook. I think they should have paid $10,000. But we let him off the hook, so the question of the day was, did we get an agreement out of them to do a favorable paving price?
Those words that does sound familiar to me, I must admit. I don't know if anyone else, I guess only Gloria was on the board
I know
at the
for a
time.
fact, because I was involved directly, but we had the lowest price per ton, and that is what this bid requires.
I understand, but
Per ton in place.
well,
I admit,
the bid
I made a
requires
mistake
both.
on the measurements.
Right.
But,
Well, a pretty big one, as you know.
well, in the end, we had by far a lower price per ton, so no matter what contractor put it down, if they put down 100,000 tons, our price would come in lower.
I understand, but we went through this before. The question on the table wasn't something said about giving us a very favorable price on the parking lot, and I do think that was said. I don't think Gunther's making it up. That is kind of my recollection.
Well, we did, but we didn't follow through on the parking lot.
Well, we are now.
Oh, I know, and we've got the lowest
We didn't
price.
follow through immediately. But
We had the lowest price for the parking lot also.
I think also, just maybe to answer Gunther's question, is it's probably more per ton because of the nature of the mix. too.
Well, it's labor intensive.
And labor
It's a
intensive.
small area.
it's a very different
Yeah, it's a lot
paving
more
job.
time consuming
So, yeah, I
than
can
hitting the road
imagine
and
that you
stuff.
don't just go and go. Right.
You
Makes
might have a
sense.
paving crew that could do
That makes
1,000
sense.
ton a day, and in this case, there might be 200
No,
tons.
that I see. That makes some sense. I mean, that everyone had a differential in the parking lot here versus the others. Okay, there's a motion on the table to ask Todd to review these and to get back to the select board at our next meeting with them. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. The next topic on...
I'm sorry, can we just
Thank you very
say
much.
he
Thank you,
would come,
folks.
Thank you all for
he
coming.
would come back to the next meeting?
Well, that's part of the motion, is that he would report back to the select board with his recommendation.
But no time frame on
But, well,
that, assuming the next meeting.
if you want to make that add that to the motion, you'd have to, at this point, make it a
Yeah,
motion.
It's kind of moved, but it's.
Yeah, I think he's anxious to do it. I don't think there's any,
Well, we gotta get in this on the micro.
yeah, so I don't think there's a problem with that. Okay, the next item on the menu, on the agenda is the credit card approval. And Pat, you want to explain the situation to us here?
Yes, I tried to order something that the select board asked me to order a couple of weeks ago. Was not able to do it because we didn't have a credit card. And I asked why we didn't have a credit card, just to order quick purchases over the internet. So Maureen applied for a credit card for two of us to have, and it was through People's United Bank. They drew up the documentation, and they are looking for us to we just need the town clerk to sign this to get the approval for $1,000 for a credit card to use for office emergencies or purchases. And that's what we're asking the select board. Would they approve the People's United Bank credit card?
And the two card holders' names are yourself and Maureen, is
That's
that correct?
correct.
How will the money spent on this credit card be tracked, in the sense of, will Maureen allocate each individual expense to a different line item?
Yes,
So those will be tracked essentially the same as way checks that she writes
that's
are?
correct. That's
Anything
correct.
purchased through the credit card will have to come back to the town, be seen by Maureen. And is Maureen the address on the credit card
The address
application?
on the credit card is 555 Vermont Route 30, Newfane.
To attention to whom?
It's the legal business name is Town of Newfane.
I see.
The only problem is that we do not get the street address, but are they going to have a P.O. box? Because we don't get any mail here, so I need to have that.
There is a space to put it. When they sent it in, they didn't. I'll add it.
Yeah, if you
I'll
could do
add
that, that
Okay.
way we
Yeah,
just
we-
make sure it gets,
Ability to get it in here.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern is it is not, from the town's perspective, not a huge amount of money, but it could be abused, and
That's
I would
correct.
not like to see
It-
adding complexity to things,
And if
just because we
either of
want
us
Robert's rules.
And if either of us leave the town office for employment, it gets turned back into.
Okay, because it's the business, strictly
It's strictly
the
business.
so-called business of the town of Newfane.
And the credit line is 1,000.
That's correct.
Well, why do we see
It's 1,000 per
per
card.
card, so you're getting
Oh,
1,000
okay,
for
it's
Pat
1,000.
That's
and
right.
Two.
1,000 for Maureen. So it is actually two. that we go ahead with this credit card for the ease of being able to purchase certain things that have to be purchased through the town employees and officials.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Okay, now that it's moved and seconded, the only thing is, I would like a monthly report just of the use of the credit card. So that the select board does always see, along with pay orders, specifically what's been ordered through the credit card.
Okay.
And it seems to me too, Pat, that orders should still have a purchase order.
That's right.
Yes, it still has to follow
That's right.
normal,
So,
anything
yeah,
done
but that-
that's a good
that
point.
takes
Okay,
care
that
of-
covers that.
Yeah.
Yes, that any use of that credit card must be through the standard purchase order process.
And we still look at, I guess it's between $100 and $200, but we have to bring that, anybody has to bring that to the select board before we're starting up into $1,000 purchase.
Correct.
Right.
I kind of got a problem that Maureen has a signature on the credit card and a signature on the check paying for the credit card. So theoretically, there's no control. I mean, the pay order has to be a pay order, I assume, which you
And the pay orders
review.
come through Pat. So Pat has a signature of a pay order that she issues. That's gonna have to happen, I think.
Well, we still, the select board still must, before we pay the credit card bill, must come through the select board. Right, so we still do have that control. Right,
And you have monthly reports.
Right.
Okay.
right. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously of members present.
So I need to sign someplace, Pat?
Yes.
You've got
Oh.
the original?
Yep, and it's in yellow right at the bottom.
Okay.
And she'll bring that into the bank.
Okay, thank you. The next is the July 4th meeting, which falls on, strangely enough,
On
July 4th. Which, strangely enough, is the July 4th holiday. So the question then arises, should we call a special meeting for the last week in June, the July 11th, or alternatively, should we simply, we have multiple alternatives. We could hold the meeting despite the fact that it's a holiday, or we could simply cancel the meeting and go forth to the next meeting would be, what, 14, the 18th. What's the will of the board? Yes, Pat?
Can I give, the opinion of Doris, our lister, said that we must set the tax rate, and Maureen said it's the end of the year and pay orders are due for June 30th and are due July 1st, and we should really have a meeting to
So there is a need,
avoid
okay.
penalties.
Oh, yeah.
But we're gonna have more bid stuff for these bridges
So
too.
we have too much to do. I said to Pat in a note that, gee, I just as soon skip it, and she thought I was just kidding. I wasn't kidding, but it does appear to be impossible to skip a meeting, so I accept reality. So then the question becomes, when should we hold the meeting when should we hold the meeting?
27th?
The only problem I have with that is I don't think the state will have sent the education tax down by the 27th for us to be able to set the tax rate.
They
It's
send
usually
it
the
literally
first-
the last, when do they send it?
It's tight, so I
don't have any knowledge on the subject whatsoever.
So if in fact that's going to be here, I would certainly say the 27th. But if it's not going to be here, then it's silly.
When's it supposed to be here, by the 1st?
We barely have time to get out the tax bills to be there by the 15th of July.
Why can't we have it on like July 2nd then, on a Tuesday night?
That's also possible. It doesn't have to be
because the 4th would be midnight
it's a
for me.
problem
Oh, no.
for me to come on July 2nd, but July 1st is all right for me.
Well, either one.
Let's do the first.
All right, so
Because I'm
let's.
thinking of leaving.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking of leaving every night. Every Thursday night, I think of leaving, but that doesn't really cut my size. So are we saying that we're going to move it to the 1st?
Yeah.
So
I
we're-
move that we move the select board meeting from July 4th to July 1st.
At 6:30 or 6?
Doesn't
Sounds
matter.
good.
6 o'clock.
6
Yeah, 6
o'clock, as long as we're
o'clock,
resetting
and-
it.
And limit it to only essential items?
Yeah, no, I'm putting everything on there. Yeah, yes,
mean,
that's fine.
If we just wanted to have.
Try to have a
special
quick meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
We may have something from the town repair. We may have business or.
Okay, that would be great. I'm not going to discourage that. So, I'm just changing it on my own calendar. Okay, what's this?
That's my signature needs
Oh,
back.
To Pat.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have now, oh, did we vote? We needed to vote on that.
It has to be
We
seconded.
haven't seconded it.
Is it, could we have a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of canceling the July 4th meeting due to holiday and scheduling a special meeting on July 1st, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I'm sorry, but July 1st is at 6 p.m. And the motion carries unanimously of members present. Okay, the next topic of business is dog licenses. Gloria?
At the end of May, beginning of June, I need to give to the select board a list of all of the people who have dogs that are unlicensed in town. And I've given this list to George Friend, our animal control officer. We were down to only 35 owners having dogs. A few of these, a couple of them paid today, and I'm going to hand everybody a copy. 3, 4. And basically, at this point, it's in George's hands to contact all of these owners. And all of the owners have received telephone calls. They've also received a postcard, and in some cases, they received yet another telephone call. So we've done as much as we can from my office.
So these are known owners who have not relicensed their dogs? Is that what it boils down to?
And some of them you can see where there's a number 999 that just implies that they didn't license the dog last year. Sometimes we assume that they then moved, but in at least 2 cases I know that these people still have their dogs, plus they have 1 additional dog, and they still haven't licensed them.
Okay. So you've handed this, you're informing us, and you've handed it over to George to pursue.
And George, according to state statute, can have go and remove these dogs from their owners, put them down at our Humane Society at the owner's expense until they actually come and get the tags and the rabies. In some cases, it includes rabies. And then he can also take them away and have them humanely put down. And you can also fine them a judicial fine at $100 per dog. So they've pretty much been informed of all of this.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have one additional piece of new business, which is simply that I would like to put into our future schedule, just put out there to the select board and to members of the public, we should have a review of the auditor's report, particularly the management draft.
Yeah.
So I would like to schedule that for next board meeting. I will schedule it. I'm mostly, really, I could say just informing, but just to be ready and say, please read the management report and as well as the full report, but particularly the management report is what I'm focused on here. Okay. We now move to old business and the famous 12 Beech Tree Lane business with Merle, which Merle will give us an update on. Go for it, Merle.
Just a question, is this going to be anything that could get us
Yes, does this need to be
go
in
into
executive session? It does. All right, then we will hold that, and though we will not specify that's what but we will hold it from the agenda. The next issue is the Dover Roads grubbings update. I believe that's, Gloria, that you probably have the most up-to-date information on that.
Last meeting I said that Mark would give us an estimate. He was on vacation, so Steve Overton gave the estimate. So the idea is that Mark went out and measured, and he came up with 2,800 cubic yards, but in fact it's back down to 1,900. Not that it's cheap. So he has written a complete request for, is it proposal?
RFP, yeah.
Where I believe I sent copies to everybody.
Yes, you did.
And so he first gave me a price of only $17,000, but then he went, whoops, I goofed. And it's in fact going to be $53,000 because it's has to be per square yard. And he said that that cost was in fact including labor and equipment. So that my first thought was that's just going to be for the grubbers themselves. And so what we have to look at here is we need to come up with, this is through the federal highway aid on Dover Road, and it'll put down a foot of grubbing 10 feet from where the pavement, the curb, in the right of way. He said that there would be a switch where, you know, if it's high and it's already got, then they'll just put a few inches to be able to get plants. So I think our biggest concern tonight is to say we could go ahead and put this out, but the town does have to have a matching 25%. And
this is a separate grant. It doesn't have anything to do with the DDIRs.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, it's tied. The information came from the DDIRs.
Right.
So, but this is.
It is separated,
yes.
though. Okay.
So that if the cost were $53,000, then the town's cost would be somewhere around 15 or 14.
14 to 15,000. And my question was, when we come up with the money July 1st that we had for the flood.
What money? I'm not sure what, I
Remember
noticed that.
That 125,000?
Yeah.
Oh, that was.
That's a capital.
That was not intended for additional expenses. We discussed that as a reserve fund based on what we were likely and still are likely to be on the hook for on what we simply won't end up getting reimbursed by the government from.
So that answers my
So
question.
it can't be used for new expenditures.
I did ask Todd via an email what kind of, and you're more conversant in that, what kind of an in-kind can we do that would help defray that cost?
Because they will accept in-kind.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I mean, one in the town has a pile of some over there for topsoil.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you figured give them that as part of the contractors to use on the shoulder, I mean, because I wouldn't take on to pay that 10 or 25. What is it? 25%?
25%.
Well, how much was it? 14,000.
Yeah, about 14.
Yeah, I wouldn't take on to come up with that kind of money. You know, for what topsoil goes for.
Plus, if it's our equipment, so any of the loading, any of the trucking, that's all your in kind right there. So.
So instead of coming up
And the
with
labor
money,
hours. So if we used our guys.
So we do need,
That's
but we
all.
need some input from Todd. That's all.
Clearly.
That's you know, I must say personally, I think it's a good idea. I think we should make the area look as attractive as possible. We've gotten a lot of feedback from businesses that they're struggling to survive, as we well know, and that the beauty of the area is a critical factor in that. But I really would like some info from Todd in terms of how much without straining, without detracting from other things we do, that he feels his crew could provide as part of this.
Can I add something else
Sure,
Todd did?
of course.
Todd sent an email saying that he would like to leave an area for future place to store gravel.
Oh, that's a
also.
different
Yeah.
sort of sub-issue, which is how much of a particular spot
Right.
can be used for
Absolutely.
that, and that's fine. And I actually had a short communication with Todd that said I'd take a look at it with him and see, But that sort of just reduces a little bit how much we'd actually use, because we're going to have to reserve some part for that use. But the question I most want to know from Todd is what he feels that we could contribute, so that we know kind of what our true cost on our side would be. Now, what is necessary? I saw the RFP, but what is necessary to apply for the grant? How does that work? Does anyone know? We may not.
That's right, through VTrans. I mean, yeah, I don't think
It's a VTrans.
Mark or
it's
Tiffany.
This is what Mark was talking to
Yes,
us for a
this is-
long time
yes,
ago.
Right.
yeah.
I see.
Would it be appropriate if I might read this into the
Sure.
record as requested? I received an email via Carol that John Piatek asked to have a letter read to the board, to the select board, town of Newfane. It is my understanding that federal money is available for the cleanup along the Dover Road in South Newfane, contingent upon the town paying approximately $13,000, 25% of the cost. This is an excellent opportunity to repair the remaining damage to the land along the Rock River, to beautify the town and make it more appealing to those who may wish to build, rent, or move here. I urge the select board to consider this opportunity. John Piatek, South Newfane.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other comment? We don't have a motion
Right, I was
on the
gonna say
floor
we
yet.
don't.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I move
With
that
that-
we go ahead with shoulder rubbings.
Well, I think, okay, that's
Put it
I
out to
don't know.
bid. To put it out to bid.
put it out to bid. I
Yeah,
guess
really,
we're
we
not
don't know
committed
that.
until we decide.
Oh, we don't know what our 25% is till you see what the bid comes in.
Okay.
with.
Right.
All
I
right,
mean, it might be cheaper than the 50-some thousand.
okay. So that's,
saying that-
is that,
he's saying
you
it's
accept that as the
1900 yards.
motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, okay. Is
So-
this something where we work with AOT though? I'm
Yeah, I think we
misunderstanding the
gotta be
whole.
able to, there's gotta be some, yeah. I mean, they drew this up for us.
Right.
We didn't do this. They
Right.
drew it up.
Right.
So I think they're already kind of,
Because it is their plans and specs.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
All right.
I would almost think, yeah, get together with them guys and Todd and different ones.
You
and
got it.
They'll stake out the spots where it's gonna be
Great.
bid on and.
Yeah.
Great.
Put
Well,
it out
Mark
to bid.
Pickering already knows. I think he's already had it all staked out, right?
He,
Or he's run the
he literally went out
mileage.
and did the mileage, did the calculations.
Okay.
All right, so
So
that
yes.
motion is on the table. All those, is there any further,
Second.
and seconded, is there a further
Gloria,
discussion?
seconded?
No,
She made the
I made
motion.
the
Oh,
motion.
okay. I will second.
Okay.
So we have a second.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Anybody in the audience?
Aye.
I,
It passes unanimously of the members present. Okay.
Another piece of business.
But yes.
I wanted to bring up, while we're upon it, 279 Dover Road.
My favorite.
So FEMA did not approve the reverse Loma for 279 Dover Road, which basically means that the grant application that we fought for how many months, many months, is dead in the water on FEMA's end of it. So I contacted Ray Doherty and also Bob Ennis for CDBG. That application, it's a long shot, but it's already automatically moving through to that secondary round, similar to where we're trying to get 246 Dover Road into play. That's a big concern because it's a big piece of property, and I wanted to bring it up tonight because I know Pat has been in touch on and off with Fresnel's, and I really feel like at this point the board needs to at least clearly define to the people where we're at and what this whole next stage entails, because we don't have any guarantee If there's sufficient funds for this, we might get it through, but otherwise it's relatively dead in the water.
This is one of the most baffling intricacies of the law
I
I've
know.
ever been aware of, in that you have a house that was flooded in 1938 that was flooded and washed away entirely in Irene flood, but it's not on the flood map as being in a flood zone,
Right.
and so therefore it's not covered by the federal flood insurance. And we went and had it surveyed, and when what you forwarded to me, they don't even mention the
No.
survey.
They don't care. They finally looked at it and said, nope, not in a floodplain, sorry, it's not a floodplain.
Do we know that they looked at it? That they
Oh
looked
yeah,
at
John,
what we
I
sent?
do
You
know.
do know.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, I'm just asking.
They might have been a little irritated toward the end of my
Yeah.
conversations, yeah.
Yes, so they did look
Oh,
at what
yeah.
we sent them and they just rejected it.
Right. Which is what happened in Jamaica. That's all those houses there.
And yet those houses
They weren't
are
in the
now under-
floodplain. That's right.
So we can hope that we can get it in through, and I just want to, the only thing I can say is thank you, Chris, for continuing for your perseverance in this. And it makes no sense to me whatsoever, but I understand a lot of things don't make sense to me.
Well, you see her head,
Me too.
where she's pounding against the
Oh,
wall.
occasionally, yeah.
All right, well,
So,
keep trying.
Yeah, I do have a question on that one. Where are the costs, what are the costs? We had a survey done on it. Who's absorbing that?
We are.
We are.
The town of Newfane is absorbing
We knew
those
that if
costs.
they rejected it, we would be on the hook for the cost.
Mhm.
And do we have any idea, an amount on that at this point?
I don't I should know, but I don't have any of those spreadsheets in front of me, so I don't. I mean, I would say that we've got $800 or $900 into the engineering on that, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Several $1,000s maybe.
Maybe.
Now with,
Oh yeah, because we had that additional for the 570, right?
Yeah, well, we had to,
Yeah.
it
No, I know.
was our responsibility to go for it, and it really
should
should have
have.
worked. It's just,
And-
and
and-
maybe
and-
it eventually will.
And again, that those applications have moved already, so they're on the forefront of the CDBG portions or the secondary portions of
Uh-huh.
grants that are going through. So
maybe we'll get through it.
right, we can
Okay.
hope.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, the next is unfinished business, which there's none, and then comes correspondence.
Unfinished business, I got a question. Anything new on this thing? I understand it's got concrete walls, no
asbestos.
You had something on a locksmith somewhere?
Yeah, that's who I spoke with. I called Dick at the locksmith, and he was the one that said what it was made out of. And he does have the name of a disposal place in Massachusetts if we.
Well, check it out, ask him what kind of costs are involved in getting this thing out
Well, he
of
said
here.
that's the problem, is getting it out of here.
Oh, you mean they only
They
get
will
dispose of
just-
it, but they
we
don't
take
get it
down
out of
and
here?
Dispose of it.
I think Gunther could probably carry it out
Oh,
himself.
I think
And
Mike will back up a truck and right through. The wall probably come down fairly quickly.
I think it's your problem. Well, it's definitely a problem for the town office committee and not for us.
I turned it back to Pat.
He did.
But I think, in fact, we probably should get everything done before we move it, because if we put it into some other place, that the weight of it.
Well,
Without
yeah,
support.
I think the idea is to get rid of it
Sure.
eventually, but I don't know, it's beyond me.
But you think, Mike, you measured things, it could,
No, I said pull that door casing out and then
Yeah.
draw the front door with it.
sure, I mean,
You
that's,
just gotta put the door
That's
back.
2 door casings.
No, the other big door, front door is wide now.
Hmm.
Is this one?
It's this one.
I
you
know.
know, and
It's just,
that can be done.
It needs more than that.
no, I honestly do, I was only partially joking. I do think that in thinking about the town office, you think of a process. What are the steps to improvement? One of those steps is how we get rid of this thing, and it should be, it makes more sense to do it as part of some other piece of work that we're doing rather than as a one-off. So I would ask the town office committee to consider what could be done with that secret.
Get the fire department in here, stand by, and just cut it apart. Torch it apart.
All right. Now we move on to correspondence, and what I have is that we do have a request from Chris Trieber seeking approval for another a second annual, if you will, Rock River Parade. I'll just read what she said. Well, Gloria sent me this, so I guess I don't have what she actually said, but it doesn't matter.
Here if you want me to.
Yeah. It's just basically that they're seeking approval for the same parade, same route, and the Sheriff Clark will do traffic control for them.
So it would be August 25th?
Yes, August 25th, 2013. Kind of commemorating, if you will, or whatever you want to call it, the flood.
And it's a fundraiser for the South Newfane Williamsville Fire Department.
That's important. Okay, do I have a motion to approve that parade?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
It was great last year.
It was fun last year. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously of those present. The next thing I have is just, I think each of us received from Pat a copy of the V-Trans bicycle and pedestrian program. I don't know if there are any, and what this is just simply that there is some grant support available for projects to create bicycle or bike lanes, wider shoulders, sidewalks, pedestrian crossing improvements, pedestrian signals, improvements that address requirements of Americans with Disabilities Act, shared use path, and pedestrian scale lighting. So the question really is, at this stage, the program has just been announced. I don't see on this here, what is this, a mandatory training for all potential. Unfortunately, it looks like we missed it already, because they say mandatory training for potential on two different dates, June 3rd and June 5th. So if these is mandatory, so it does appear we have missed that opportunity, unfortunately. I think there's nothing to it. If they're holding to that, there's not a heck of a lot we can do.
Just a thought on that, John, is that in reading the town plan, you know, that we, at some point, I think next year maybe, we could pick up on and see if there's anything we can do to improve.
I think that's a reasonable.
You know, that way.
We kind of be a little ahead of it, and maybe be a
Yeah.
kind of look toward it to see if there's a similar program next year. I must say this was sent. It's dated the 16th of May, received the 20th of May. Given that we meet twice a month, we really didn't have much opportunity to respond to plan to be part of this. The next is I do have the actual. This is the same thing I read on the parade request. Just a thing, I did receive something asking if for host families for a program called CIEE. It's they host people from foreign countries. I just simply wanted to announce it. I don't know anything about the organization. I did look at their website. It looked legitimate. That's about all I could say. And if anyone knows anyone who would be willing to host a young person from a foreign country, I simply ask them to get a hold of me, and I will pass on the information to them. Or to get a hold of Pat. And Pat, I'm going to pass this to you. And let me put it. If anyone is interested in the program, please let us know.
For the school kids, right?
Yeah, they're school-age kids.
Do we want to just post a copy on the bulletin?
Well, I don't know enough about it. I would rather, at least have a conversation and make sure that people understand we're not promoting it. We're just simply passing on the information, because I don't know enough to know how legitimate it is. It looks legitimate, but what do I know? Somebody can create a site for many reasons, and I just don't know. The only other thing I have on the correspondence is just to remind members that there is on June 19th there is an accounting and auditing symposium, which might be the first is on the thing is on pensions auditing, and then the other is on federal grants management and reporting, proposed changes that might be something that members would be interested in, and if so, it certainly would be a positive thing for us to have as much knowledge. It is in Montpelier, and the registration has to be in a little less than a week, June the 12th. So I'm simply announcing that in case anybody feels they could take the time to do it. That concludes the regular business. We are going to have a executive session, but that does conclude the regular business of the Newfane Select Board. We are not adjourning, but we are going to go into executive session.
I move that we go into an executive.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much.
Executive session for personnel or?
It's
for
not personnel in this case, it's legal issues.
Legal issues.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
8:05.
So at 8:05, we are going into executive